is Sarah Gallagher. I'm from Wales originally, and my practice is drawing.
What are the themes of your practice, of your drawings?
My work touches a lot on, especially kind of female, kind of 20th century artwork. I touch a lot on the male gaze and kind of combating against that with large scale feature drawings that I've used with magnifying glass that kind of indicate what the male gaze looks like, and as a viewer you're kind of magnifying into a woman's face and sexualizing her. So this is what my practice is. It's all to do with the male gaze and kind of sexualization of women. Accompanying these graphite drawings is that I've also created a QR code which goes to a YouTube video, and I use a magnifying glass for this YouTube video, and it originally shows a female's face that's all blurred, you can't see what's going on, but then as soon as you bring it closer, like a magnifying glass, it goes deeper into the features, like the kind of the eyes, the lips, and it sexualizes a woman's features, and that's what the male gaze is. So yes, it's taken from the male perspective, and I've also altered my drawings in a way to look quite suggestive and sexualized. So instead of this eye looking like an eye, it's here and looking quite suggestive, especially here. So it's to do with so from a male perspective, looking at a woman's facial features and sexualizing her for who she is, and not for for her appearance, and not for who she actually is as a person.
So is it important for your work to be interpreted by the viewers? So is it about the confrontation with the viewer and that conversation that it starts?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've hybridized these female facial features to look sexual and suggestive, but the viewer is doing that, kind of simultaneously and automatically, and they don't particularly, I enjoy that they don't understand what it is at first, and it looks quite obscure, and they're thinking, oh, this isn't quite right, why am I looking at it in this way? And that's why I kind of place the viewer into the male perspective, as in the male gaze and sexualizing women. And so it's especially when it comes to my large pieces, is I want it to be loud and not overlooked, because it's simultaneously, although I'm using a kind of medium that is overlooked, I want the size and scale to be quite overwhelming. And especially another aspect in my drawing is that I put a lot of detail into it, so it shows the kind of the imperfections of a woman's skin, the scars, the hairs on the face, and that's from what I've learned from 20th century feminist female representation, is kind of empowering of the female facial hair, or the scars and things, because that's who we are. And so simultaneously talking about the male gaze and women being sexualized, but also empowering women with the size of my drawings, and also displaying these kind of imperfections that are usually marginalized in society and overlooked. So that's
So can you tell us a bit more about that, the significance of the size?
Yes, well, definitely with the significance is that I wanted it to be overwhelming for the viewer, and especially with the aspect of it being sexualized, I wanted the viewer to be overwhelmed, wondering where they look at this facial feature and they can just see so much, and it's almost grotesque in a way, because studying on the whole imperfections of a woman's face and skin. But I think what's been important for me in the size of my work is to be ambitious, and I constantly felt the want to make it bigger and louder and more impressive and more detailed, because I just feel like from the viewer's perspective, that's what makes it more overwhelming and more of a standstill. I want the viewer to come into the kind of look at my work and think, oh my gosh, wow, this is just so much at once, needing to kind of break it down.
And I feel like the size does make it a bit ambiguous and obscure. So the paradox is that you usually have to go close to look at the drawing, but you're doing it so that they have to stand back to take it all in.
Exactly.
But they can also step closer and get a different perspective on the drawing. I think that's very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah. I like what I'm assuming which will happen when people view my work is that they'll stand back and then try and correct it. They'll be trying to facing this way to try and make sense of it. But as it is, it's sexualized, it hybridizing the image. It's big, it's powerful, it's, you know, detailed, and that's what I want. I kind of want that, instead of looking up close and trying to find a meaning, you've got so much information, and it's just what the viewer's perspective of it is, and how they, you know, take it into their own experiences.
So you mentioned that you use the visual references you use are from videos. Do you make those videos, or are they found?
No, I make these videos using only my phone and a magnifying glass, going into my face, seeing the imperfections. It's also it's a kind of intimate point for me as well, because I am the only subject, so all of these features are of my own face. Yeah, so I've also, from my projects and my experiments and all of these sources I've got, I've also learned a lot about my own kind of face, and also been able to accept, I have a scar here, or this might not be perfect or seen as beautiful in the world, but it makes me kind of, love myself, and it means more to me than just shoving somebody else's eye.
It's more authentic and personal.
Yeah, and it's more intimate as well, I think.
Do you think the choice of the pencil and drawing as a practice is linked with the themes, so the relationship between the form and the content?
Definitely. So, especially when it comes to my drawing, I do really get quite intimate with it when creating the work. Is that even though I use these blending brushes, I also use my finger, and I also use my hand, and it is all it's a drawing of me, and also I'm creating these marks using my own finger and my own kind of perspective on my own face. And like I said, with especially the medium of graphite, I think drawing is definitely overlooked in the arts. It's a lot to do with painting or installation, and drawing, I think, has always been seen as a base. So you draw to then paint over it. But I want to make drawing its own, you know, magnificent medium that you can create these large-scale drawings that are able to bring detail that maybe a painting might not be able to. And so that's when the kind of the ideas of feminist ideology, that women are constantly overlooked and marginalised, and, you know, that women are there but men are the ones that are supposed to be taking charge. So similar in a way that I think graphite is overlooked as a medium. So that's another link to why I've made it so big. It's just so overwhelming. It's not a big painting, it's a big drawing, and I don't think they are particularly done anymore in contemporary art. So that's why I'd love to do this.
Do you want to tell us about the process? If you said you started the graphite as a base, and then you go in with more details.
Oh, definitely. So, especially kind of with this drawing, is that I first love to set a base. So I set the skin, which is usually to be like this kind of colour. It's a musky, but still a bit light. And then I like to go in with the detail. So I like to then look at the kind of imperfections in the face, the freckles, the things that, even the little white dots, the hairs on the face as well, and to go in. So I start with a base, and then I go further in and into the so the kind of grooves and the layers and the scars, and especially with kind of things on the facial features like the hairs, is what I love to put a kind of a standpoint on, is that I don't hide them, and I try and make the kind of white hairs on the face as intense as they can be, to show that although, you know, it's not seen as perfect, these imperfections are real life, and they're big enough, so you definitely see them. Hopefully find that when the viewers stand further back as well, that it appears more realistic as well, because they won't see the pencil marks, and they won't see the graphite marks or things that appear to look like pencil. As they stand back, it looks more and more like a photo, and more realistic, that all of a sudden the viewer may think, oh, am I actually kind of sexualizing this eye that's in front of me, or this lips that are in front of me, and questioning their own, possibly, like I said, experiences, and if they've said something, you know, a kind of catcalling comment or things, that they may think that, oh, so that's what I was doing, and this is a piece that visualizes it. So
calling them out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible.